What's up, everybody? Today's breakdown is brought to you by Big Raj. He's the one that requested this fight. So let's take a look. So we have Rafael Lovato against Gracie, two legends. Rafael Lovato recently retired from MMA, became a champion, but unfortunately had some health issues that he had to take care of. And let's look at something that happened in the beginning that was, very worthy to look at. So as soon as the match started, all right over here. So notice how Gracie's gi is tucked in. So both of the collars are pretty tight. Lovato assumes a stance with his right leg forward, so he's leaning with his right arm. So he's going to be looking for a collar grip with his right arm on this lapel. But Roger's hand is right here to defend. And later, Roger's actually going to be even grabbing his own lapel, which I'm going to point out a little bit later, to defend this lapel from being grabbed. So what Lovato is going to do is he's going to use his back arm to open up this lapel so that there's easier access for his right hand to go in. So let's take a look. Pay attention to his back arm. So now, as you can see, the lapel is loose. He loosened it up with his back arm. So now it's going to be much easier for him to grab it with his front arm. So he gets the lapel, and as you can see, it's pretty loose. And what Roger does is he goes over the top, and he's going to reach and grab the lapel from the top. Roger's a little bit taller. A lot of players would prefer to go underneath to get a little bit of a stronger inside control, but Roger's going to opt to get a over-the-top control. So here they're having some grip fighting exchanges. Roger's looking for some 2-on-1s on that lapel. So right over here, so Roger is doing a 2-on-1. He can do a couple of things. He can now break this grip a little bit easier. He can look for some hip throws on this side. He can also look for some like ippon seoinage, some different shoulder throws on this side as well. And he can go for like some big, foot takedowns like taetoshi, etc. Over on this side. But really, he's going to be looking for a kosoto gari, which I'm going to point out in a second. So now Rafael switches the grips. They break. And now they're going to be back to action. Now both players have their lapels wide open. And Roger, as you're going to see, even though he's kind of like lunging at it, he's going to be looking to take his right arm and reach over the back of Lovato's. You see that? He's looking to reach back over the top of his shoulder. He wants to go behind the back grip. What this grip is going to do is he's going to be able to use it to put all of Lovato's weight onto his left side. And then he's going to be using his foot to do a kosoto gari, which is an outside small foot sweep on that same side. Let's keep watching. He doesn't get it. So here, to defend Lovato from grabbing that lapel again, Roger is literally going to be using his hands to grab the fabric that Lovato is going to be looking to grab. He keeps doing it over here. So he's denying Lovato that grip. Lovato still is able to get it. Now they're having a classic judo position where both have lapels. And now Roger is still searching for that right arm over the top. So notice how Roger, the way that he's facing, he keeps looking in this direction and he's turning his body into this direction, which is going to make Lovato believe that he should be defending this side, when in reality later he's going to take this side. Classic back and forth, left and right, misdirection. He breaks the grip, reaches over the top again. So as soon as he reached over the top, he used this foot to hook behind Lovato's leg. Notice how Lovato's other foot is off the floor. All of his weight is right on this leg right over here, and that's what's going to make the takedown look pretty easy. He takes him down, and as Lovato goes down, Lovato doesn't fall flat on his back. He's going to brace, and he's going to fall onto his knees. And let's watch what's going to happen after. So he got the 2 points for the takedown, but it was very interesting because as soon as Roger took him down, he just pushes him. He just drives into him and then circles to go around to his back. And then from here, Lovato kind of got stuck. His arm is stuck right over here. And Hajar's going to just go for like a double under position straight away from here. A lot of times when somebody takes somebody else down, if they don't land directly on top of them, there becomes like a little bit of a scramble. And Hajar just literally walked him down and pushed him down to keep him down where he was. From here, Hajar is going to start to set up like a leg drag. Lovato is using his arm to hook under Hajar's leg, potentially to try to expose like maybe a knee bar or try to sweep him. It's a little bit hard to see what Lovato is trying to do, but his arm is underneath Hajar's leg, and Hajar is just keeping up pressure. He's keeping this hand right over here to keep a distance control between him and Lovato. He's making sure that Lovato is close to him. Lovato wants to create some space because he's getting stacked. As you can see, his lower back is off the floor, and Hajar is really heavy. Right over there, you could see his arm. And now Hajar is going to start to pass. So let's back up just a second, right over here. So right over here, this is the where I saw that Lovato had his arm in there. I watched this fight a few times and took some notes previously. So Hajar just basically controlled his leg. So he's put his head right over Lovato's leg so that Lovato can't egg beater this leg out, can't really do much with this leg, and then he's going to sneak his body around to this side, and then it's going to be pretty much a classic leg drag position, and then he's going to get the pass straight off of it. He drives his head, and then he's going to pass in a second. As soon as he passes, notice the angle of Hajar's hips. So Hajar is already setting up for his right hand to go for a shoulder pressure. And since he's doing the shoulder pressure with his right arm, he's going to turn his right hip to make the shoulder pressure even tighter. And let's watch. So right now, you could see that he's he's going to be on both toes in a second. And he's driving inward to put all that pressure on Lovato's neck, because as we know, usually the escape is going to happen right after the pass happens. So Hajar has to make sure that Lovato stays pinned from the completion of the pass. He's using his arm to turn Lovato's legs away from him so Lovato can't hip escape. And right away here, notice the angle that he has. His hips are slanted, and now he has all that pressure into Lovato's neck. Let's back up a second as well. So here Lovato has a frame, and Hajar used that leg to kill that frame. So let's back up a little bit. So right here, Lovato has a frame, and Hajar tucked his leg now underneath. And now notice how wide Hajar's knees are. He has one knee by his hamstring right over here. The other knee is underneath the armpit. His knees are really, really, really wide. He has like a big pyramid right over here. And he's keeping his butt as low to the floor as possible. From here, this arm is going to be very important to watch because he's going to be using this arm to pin Lovato's legs away from him. And then later, he's going to use this leg to step over. That's going to make it extremely difficult for Lovato to trap his ankle as he's mounting on top of him. Let's watch. So he switched. He was in between the legs, and then he went over the top. Lovato looks like he's about to like turtle away, but Hajar is keeping him pinned with his right arm. And now Hajar is going to step his left straight over the top to get to the mount. So notice his arm is underneath his leg. So he stepped over his own arm. Since his arm is right over here grabbing Lovato's pants, it's very hard for Lovato to use his legs to trap that ankle, to scoop, etc. Now notice before he had a super wide base. Now he's going to shorten his base by putting both feet on Lovato's hips. Watch. As soon as he mounts, Hajar is extremely tall, but he's keeping his feet tucked firmly right on the outside of Lovato's hips. A lot of times we put our feet underneath. What Hajar is doing, he's putting it straight on the side. And now he's going to widen his base outward right over here, and he's going to lower his hips down to keep the mount extremely tight. He's using his head as a base because he's about to use one of his hands to get a grip. So he's looking for this arm right over there to get a grip on Lovato's neck. And that one is hard to stop. Hard to see what Lovato looks like he's pushing with the other arm. And now he's using his head to balance. He still keeps his feet on the hips. And every time that Lovato bucks, he just follows him. So initially, what Hajar is doing is he has his right arm in the collar, and his left, he's making a grip behind his neck, because what he wants to do is he wants to circle his elbow over his neck to find the classic cross collar choke. But Lovato is going to be blocking that by putting his head downward to make it difficult for him to do that. And he's using this arm to push this off, as we can see right over here. So Hajar is going to give this up in a second. See that arm right over there? He's looking to circle. He lets it go, bases, keeps his feet on the hips. He just follows him, rides this out. Now he takes this arm off, still balances with it. And also, it's important to note that since Hajar is gripping with his right, he's leaning towards his left. Because if Hajar's weight was on the other side of Rafael Lovato's head, he would be much easier to buck in this direction. And if Rafael tries to buck in this direction, Hajar has this arm to base on the floor right over here. But since he has taken his base away from his right side, it's very important again for his body to be leaning towards his left. And then he just shot in. Boom. It was like almost like a jab, straight into the collar on the other side. And as soon as he does that, he brings his head onto the floor, because Lovato is going to be trying to buck in this direction. So his head replaces his arm as far as the base goes. He's going to start to bring his elbows close to his body. Adjusts, keeps his head nice and tight on the floor, and Lovato taps. Notice, let's go back a couple of seconds. Notice the finishing position. At this point, Hajar is not seated on Lovato's hips. Notice how high Hajar has climbed. Lovato's arms, his elbows aren't the same line as his shoulders. His elbows are not underneath his shoulders. So from here, it's really hard for Lovato to push, to do much of anything. And Hajar used his feet to be tucked right under, like on the side and underneath Rafael's hips. And Hajar is extremely tall. And you know, a lot of times shorter people do the positions like this. But in this instance, Hajar utilized the feet on the hips. And in many of his fights, he does this to make sure that it's super hard to get rolled over, bucked over, etc. So one other thing to note is how Hajar was going underneath the neck for the choke. And when that didn't work, he went straight over the top for the choke. So you can go under, you can go over. Both, you know, obviously both work very well in conjunction with one another. And then the fight is over. And Hajar was the winner in this one. Guys, thank you for the breakdown. Again, some people have been messaging me with some requests. I have some, a few matches lined up. If you have any other matches that you want me to do, let me know, and I got you. Hopefully, I don't know, maybe we shouldn't make this too viral because, or share it too much, because probably, all this kind of stuff right over here that I'm pointing at, I don't want them to start deleting these videos off. But for those of you that are enjoying it, thank you very much. And again, hit me up with anything, and I'll do my best to get everything out. I'm trying to do, again, one of these a day. All right? Take care, guys. Stay safe, and hope everyone is doing okay. Hope everyone is feeling okay, not sick. If anybody is sick, hopefully you're going to recover as soon as possible. And thank you, guys.